To screen or not to screen? That is the question. So in today's video, we will be talking about screen time, how much is good for your child, what you can do to avoid screen time, and all the pros and cons related to it. I also want to say that this video might be a little long, so if you don't want to watch the whole of it or you want to skip to a particular topic, there are chapters mentioned in the description box and you can click on them. Screen time, I think, is one of the biggest challenges of modern parenting. You can't live with them, you can't live without them. Screens are all around our children, and no matter how much we try, you cannot have a zero screen environment at home. Especially in these pandemic times when parents have so much on their plates already, like parenting, household chores, work commitments. So I think a lot of us do resort to screen time, and I think a little bit is totally normal, totally okay. As I said, we cannot avoid it. But how do we deal with the issue? Because clearly it is an issue. I have some notes over here. I prepared a list of questions which parents do have regarding screen time, including me. I also used to wonder about certain things, so I think we will be tackling one question at a time and one scenario at a time. So the first question is that how much screen time is appropriate? Now there are stages for it. Up to 2 years of age, there should be absolutely no screen time. It really pains me when I see, parents sticking up their very small infants in front of TV or showing them the mobile phone when it is absolutely not necessary. The notion that we have in mind is that, maybe the child is getting bored. Let me assure you, a baby does not get bored. A baby who is less than 2 years old does not know the concept of getting bored. It is us parents who, plant that thing in the child's mind that, okay, you are getting bored. A child will find ways to entertain himself, and babies more so, they are entertained by a lot of things. You think that the baby is sitting in his pram or he is in the cot and he's just getting bored. He's not getting bored. The mundane things around you which you find boring are actually very new to the baby. So he himself is getting very entertained by looking at curtains, furniture, other human beings roaming around. That itself provides him with a lot of entertainment. Please don't think that your child is getting bored. If you want to expose your child to nursery rhymes or to sounds, you can always use music. But please avoid screens till 2 years of age. It is just not required. To keep your baby entertained, you can talk to your baby. And okay, I get it. In these times, you don't get the time to talk to your baby because you have so much of work around. And if you feel that your baby is actually getting bored, there are millions of ways to keep him entertained other than screens. For example, you can place flashcards around his surroundings just like this. You can have those hanging toys on the pram or on the cot where they keep on revolving, rotating, and your child can keep himself entertained for hours. Believe me, small children do not get bored. They do not understand the concept of getting bored. Please do not show a screen to them because you think they are getting bored. In the age group of 2 to 5 years, again, I would say avoid as much as you can avoid. But yes, I understand at this stage, you sometimes need to keep your child busy. You sometimes need to do certain things that you cannot monitor your child. So you can, introduce your child to screens, but keep that to a minimum. I think half an hour to 1 hour a day is okay, is good. You can divide that time. Instead of letting your child have 1 whole hour of screen time, you can divide it 10 minutes a time, 10 minutes in the evening, like this. So it is totally up to you, but it should not exceed 1 hour, and avoid as much as you can. After 5 years, it will all depend upon what you did in these 5 years, because if you have managed to keep your child away from screens, your child will not develop an interest towards screen. Your child will not be interested in watching TV. Your child would be interested in exploring, playing outdoors. So your job here is done. But yes, if you have not been able to manage the screen time of your child, if your child is in the habit of watching TV for longer durations or watching screens for longer duration, this time now it will be very difficult for you to cut back on the screen time, and your child would definitely want to have more and more screen time. Okay, so another question is that why should I limit screen time? What is the need? As I see it, screen time is a lost opportunity to learn in real time. You might think that my child is watching educational shows, but your child could be doing all those things in real time. So let's assume that your child saw a super cool experiment on TV, but he's only seeing that on TV. Why not take out the time to do that experiment in real life? Especially in these times, in the pandemic times, when your child is actually not going out, your child is not going to school, your child is not going to the playground as much. So he really needs to get out and explore. Yes, welcome. He really needs to go out and explore instead of just sitting in front of the TV. So I think it is all the more important in these times to limit screen time. And of course, if your child is not going out as much, is not playing outdoors, is only sitting in front of the TV and eating and sleeping, your child will be overweight. Too much of mobile usage will cause your child to be sleep deprived. Why this happens is because all electronic devices emit a broad range of visible light, and though most of them are harmless, it emits blue light, which is dangerous. Blue light is in the extreme end of the visible spectrum, and as the light radiation moves from red end towards the blue end, the wavelength continuously decreases. This reduced wavelength has got a higher frequency, so it has got more energy, you can say, and so it affects your sleep cycle, it affects your eyesight, and like we discussed in our previous video, children and babies are still learning the sleep cycle of 1.5 to 2 hours, which causes them to wake up at the end of the cycle. This blue light causes a lot of disturbances in the sleep pattern of adults, so you can only imagine what it will do to children. Yes, so mobile usage and screen usage should be reduced, but please make a point that whenever you do use these devices, totally avoid using them at night, so as to not hamper the sleep cycle of your child. Because if your child will be sleep deprived, your child will end up being very irritated, very cranky. It can lead to aggressive behavior in some children. I have seen this firsthand, because yes, I also gave into giving a lot of screen time to Kabir in the beginning of the pandemic, and I noticed that he was turning aggressive. So I've seen this happening in my own home. How can I limit screen time? A lot of parents want to do this, because trust me, I know no parent would want their child to be sitting in front of a screen all day long, but they simply do not know how to go about it, because children, like I said, become very aggressive and irritated. And trust me, in these times, we are a little scared of our children. So the number one point to cut down on screen time is that you have to work as a unit. If you are making a rule of no screen time or limited screen time, you have to make it for the whole family. You cannot expect a child to understand that this rule is only for him while everyone else is on their devices, everyone else is watching TV, and only the child is forbidden. This habit of using a screen, 99% of the time the child picks up from the parents, because I think it is not the child's fault, it is our fault. We are so addicted to our devices that we cannot let go of them. So the first thing would be, stop using your devices in front of your child. Keep the usage to a minimum. Most of the times a child would actually want to play with you, to interact with you, rather than playing on a screen and keeping him entertained through a screen. Make these rules for the whole family, that this is the TV time, okay, half an hour for everybody, 1 hour for everybody, or this is the acceptable time to watch TV, and make sure that you stick to it, the whole family sticks to it. So even if you do want to watch TV, you can always do it once your child is asleep. And if you are looking for ways to make your child asleep, here's the link to it, go check it out. And it is always better that you understand that screen time is not good for your child. It is not good for anybody, but let's focus on children as of now. So make sure that you limit that from the very beginning. Like I said, if your child becomes used to it, and with time it will only get very difficult to get rid of that habit. And yes, you have to be very strict, you have to be bold enough to just take that step. Like I told you, I had given into giving a lot of screen time to Kabir. It was mostly during meal times. He would not eat without a screen, and I was so tired, I was so occupied with other things that I just let him have it. It worked for some days, but after that I realized he is just prolonging his meal time so that he could watch more of television, and he was not even eating his food properly. And that is when I decided that no, I have to cut back on it. So one fine day I just switched off the TV and I told him I was prepared. I was prepared for a lot of tantrums, I was prepared for fights, but I had to do it. Because I firmly believe in very less screen time, and I had been practicing it for a very long time, and yes, somewhere inside I was feeling guilty of doing it. So I decided I was prepared for a lot of fights. So one fine day I just switched off the TV. We had a television installed in the dining room for this very purpose. So you can imagine how bad it was. So one fine day I just decided to just switch it off. I switched off the TV. He asked me to switch the TV on. I told him that the TV is not working. The TV needs to be repaired. And that is all it took. He did not question me after that. He had his food, and since that day he has not asked for a television. After a few days we just removed the television from the dining room. So a lot of times we are scared to take that step, but I think you should take that step and you will be surprised with the results. Our children are not as stubborn as we think they are. Okay, so one more question that a lot of parents ask is, won't my child fall behind if I don't expose him to digital media? So I understand where this concern comes from, that we and our children especially are growing up in an era where coding is like going to become the first language. But trust me, it will not hamper the development of your child. First of all, small children do not need to be exposed to screens. They prefer face-to-face interaction. They prefer face-to-face learning, and nobody else but you can provide that. And as far as lagging behind, that is not going to happen. We are surrounded by screens so much. Screens are embedded in our life to such an extent that you will have to make absolutely zero efforts for your child to understand how the digital media operates. Let's think of it this way. You can compare screens to chocolates or junk food. You don't need to introduce these things to your child for them to love them or develop a taste for them. It just happens. The moment you give it to them, they will know what to do and they will love them. And the same is for screen. The moment your child will hold an electronic device, trust me, your child will figure it out. And the question is that we use screen to distract or calm down our child. Yes, that is a very good technique which a lot of parents follow these days, that if your child is throwing a tantrum, we just give him a screen. And it does and should work once or twice, but it will lead to a problem in the long run, because first of all, your child will grow aggressive. Your child will start throwing tantrums left, right and center because he knows that mommy and daddy will give me a screen if I do this. Secondly, your child will not learn to self-soothe. Now this might not look like a very big concern at this age, but this is very important for your child to grow into a self-sustained individual. Your child will always look for some support system, for some assurance, even later in life, to soothe himself if things don't go his way. Yes, once or twice it is okay. Once or twice it is fine to give your child a screen to soothe your child, but not every time, because it will only lead to problems in the long run. Having said all these things, what are the bad points? And I think most of us do know what the bad points are about screen time, but the truth still remains the same, that we cannot avoid screen time, especially now when even the classes are going online. We cannot avoid it. So not all screen time is bad, and there are ways in which you can make your screen time productive. Always control what your child sees. So in that way, screen time is not that bad. You can use it to your advantage. Yes, if you are busy with work, you have to give screen time to your child. Make sure that your child is gaining something out of it. You are making him watch something good, something educational. And luckily for us these days, there is so much of content, and your child can watch these things without getting bored. So your child can learn a lot of new things. Let me know in the comment section if you want me to make a video on what TV shows I choose for Kabir. You can introduce your child to documentaries. Kabir loves seeing documentaries, wildlife documentaries, underwater documentaries. You can expose them to science, you can expose them to a lot of things. Sometimes he does want to watch, plain simple cartoons. So there are certain shows that he wants to watch which according to me don't add any value to him, but I do let him watch because that is his childhood and I should not deprive him of that joy. But yes, what I do is I choose a different language for that show. So if he wants to watch Peppa Pig, I let him watch Peppa Pig in French. If he wants to watch Masha and the Bear, I let him watch Masha and the Bear in Russian. You cannot teach that language on your own, and your child will learn that language perfectly with proper accent and everything. Screen time is not bad if you control it, if you control what your child sees, if you set a time limit for it, and if your child is getting something back from it. On most days, yes, on some days your child is allowed to just watch it for fun. So that is all for today. Do let me know in the comment section what were your thoughts about screen time. How do you manage screen time for your children? I will see you next time with another video. Till then, bye.